Good evening. Let's come to order, please. Good evening and welcome to this public hearing of the Alabama Department of Environmental Management. My name is Chris Sasser and I am the designated hearing officer for these proceedings. The role of the hearing officer is limited to ensuring an orderly hearing so that an accurate record of the hearing may be developed for the department's evaluation. I do not make any decisions regarding the proposed permit action. On behalf of Director Lance LaFleur and the department, we appreciate your attendance and participation this evening and thank the City of Livingston for allowing us to use this facility for this hearing. The subject of this hearing is the proposed renewal of the Hazardous Waste Facility Operating Permit for Chemical Waste Management, Inc. The EPA identification number for the site is ALD 000622464. The purpose of this hearing is to provide the public with an opportunity to present oral testimony on the proposed permit renewal. In addition to oral testimony, the department also will consider all written comments submitted before the close of the public comment period. The department has requested your comments, and we appreciate your taking the time to make them known to us. Notice of the date, time, place, and purpose of this hearing was posted on the department's website and published in the Sumter County Record Journal on March 9th, 2023. In addition, the department also sent notice of this hearing by electronic mail to individuals and organizations who had previously requested advance notice of permit proceedings. A copy of the notice, the certification of publication, and the email list will be entered into the record of these proceedings. Copies of the fact sheet, public notice, and draft permit application have been made available for inspection by the public and that the Department of Environmental Management's office at 1400 Coliseum Boulevard in Montgomery. The notice, application, and proposed permit renewal have also been available on the department's website. This hearing is open to the public, and anyone wishing to present oral testimony or a written statement may do so. Those who have not previously completed a registration card to give testimony should do so at this time and present it to the department representative at the registration table out front, out there. Those who wish to receive the department's response to comments should also fill out a registration card. Lengthy statements or those containing considerable technical or other complex data should be submitted in writing. Summaries of such statements may be presented orally. All testimony and written comment should be as factual as possible and should address the subject of this hearing. This hearing is an opportunity for members of the public to offer comments to help ensure that all relevant factors are considered before a final permit decision is made. Please note that the department is limited in the factors it can consider when making permit decisions and must base the determination on whether the permit application has satisfied applicable environmental statutes and regulations. Persons giving testimony will not be subject to questioning by the public, but may be questioned by the hearing officer or department staff to clarify points and to develop a better understanding of what is being presented. This proceeding today is not an open forum, as in a question and answer session. Rather, it's an opportunity for you to submit comments that you wish the department to consider in the final review of this proposed permit renewal. You may pose a comment in the form of a question, which will be compiled and addressed by the department in its complete response to comments. In addition to oral testimony, written comments also may be submitted. All written statements previously submitted and those received by the hearing officer by the conclusion of tonight's hearing will be included in the hearing record. Written statements may be submitted to the hearing officer tonight or delivered to the department in Montgomery as directed in the public notice for this hearing. It is important to note that written comments submitted through the mail are given the same consideration as those that are presented in person at this hearing. All oral and written testimony will be included in the hearing record. Once complete, the hearing record, including a transcript of this hearing and all written submissions received by the department before the close of the comment period, will be open to public inspection at the department's offices in Montgomery. After giving full consideration to the hearing record, the Department of Environmental Management will announce its decision on the proposed permit renewal. The hearing record, final permit determinations, and responses to comments will be posted to the department's e-file system. This hearing is being captured by a court reporter to develop a transcript of this hearing for review by the department. In addition, the entire proceeding is being recorded on video to be posted on the department's YouTube channel to make it accessible to the public. Now, on to the purpose of this hearing, the receipt of public comments. The order of appearance of persons giving testimony will be as follows. First, a representative of the Department of Environmental Management, a representative of Chemical Waste Management, Inc., then any elected officials or their representatives who have registered to speak. I will now recognize Mr. Metz Duites to present a statement on behalf of the Department of Environmental Management.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Metz Duites. I work with the Engineering Services section of the Industrial Hazardous Waste branch of ADEM. I will briefly describe the background, purpose, and content of the draft Hazardous Waste Treatment, Storage, and Disposal Permit developed by ADEM under the authority of the Alabama Hazardous Waste Management and Minimization Act, also known as the AHWMMA. Chemical Waste Management, Inc., also known as ChemWaste, is located approximately 5 miles north of the town of Emile, Alabama, and 3 miles east of the Mississippi-Alabama state line in Sumter County, Alabama. ChemWaste is a commercial hazardous waste treatment, storage, and disposal facility which covers approximately 2,600 acres and is surrounded by farmland and woodlands. ChemWaste accepts hazardous waste in both containers and bulk shipments, which may be blended and bulked prior to being shipped off-site for further treatment or recovery, decanted and stored prior to shipment off-site, processed prior to on-site landfilling, or placed directly in the on-site landfill, depending on the applicable treatment standards. The proposed permit addresses activities involving the commercial treatment, storage, and disposal of hazardous waste in existing and proposed units at the facility, as well as the post-closure care, groundwater monitoring requirements, and corrective action for the site. The purpose of the permitting process is to develop the specific requirements necessary for the permittee, in this case, ChemWaste, to comply with the AHWMMA and hazardous waste regulations promulgated thereunder by ADEM in the ADEM Administrative Code. Alabama is federally authorized to administer and enforce the AHWMMA in lieu of the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act of 1980 and the Hazardous and Solid Waste Amendments of 1984 within the state. The AHWMMA, as amended, is the state statutory authority to regulate the management of hazardous waste. Based on our review of the permit renewal application, the department has made a preliminary determination that the proposed renewal would be in compliance with the applicable state and federal hazardous waste requirements and, thus, protective of public health and the environment. The purpose of tonight's hearing is to provide an opportunity to receive public comment regarding the application and proposed permit. The department welcomes your input to this process and will consider all technical comments prior to making a final decision concerning the issuance of this permit and will provide a written response to each commenter and to those requesting specific notice of our decision. Thank you.
Thank you. I now call on Mike Davis with Chemical Waste Management, Inc. to make a statement. Mr. Davis.
Thank you, and good evening to everybody. I think I know many of you here tonight, but for those that don't know me, I'm Mike Davis. I'm the Senior District Manager for the Chemical Waste Management of Mel facility. I've been the District Manager since 2007, and I've actually worked at the facility for 43 years. The facility currently employs more than 150 full-time employees. Our workforce receives all the required training in accordance with the requirements of the Alabama Department of Environmental Management, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and the U.S. Department of Transportation. Our original operating permit was issued in 1978, and this permit renewal, which is required every 10 years with a 5-year review. Our facility is a hazardous waste treatment, storage, and disposal facility that includes 802 acres of operational area situated within 2,630 acres of land. Areas of the site not used for waste management are certified national wildlife habitat. I hope that many of y'all had the ability to go by and look at our table and get a slideshow of the facility, which will give you some idea of what our operation is about. But we do accept waste and treat it to meet the EPA specified levels of treatment standards. Before the waste is placed in the landfill, we also store waste while waiting for treatment of on-site and off-site disposal. All waste shipped to the facility is subject to strict acceptance criteria verified by laboratory testing and ADEM approval, and is not placed in the landfill until it meets the EPA standards. Our landfills are constructed with a double high-density polyethylene, which is a very thick plastic liner system with a rainwater collection system. All waters collected from the landfill is used for on-site use in our treatment processes or for dust suppression on the site. Waste that cannot be treated in landfill on-site is shipped off-site to other types of treatment facilities. Historically, there have not been any releases of waste or contaminated discharges from this site. We monitor the groundwater and surface water in accordance with our permits and do not have any contaminated water leaving the site. Chemical Waste Management, with assistance from our engineering consultant, Jacobs Engineering, has submitted a renewal application to the Alabama Department of Environmental Management, ADEM, with a Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, RCRA, hazardous waste permit for Amel, Alabama facility. I'd like to mention like a quick summary of the renewal application, which is ADEM has reviewed the permit application and prepared a draft permit for public notice. No new storage, treatment, or disposal units are being proposed. CWM updated the closure and post-closure plan to provide closure and post-closure cost estimates in $2,022 for the entire facility, updated the financial assurance documents, revised minor details, and a narrative regarding facility closure and post-closure care. We made minor administrative revisions and updated the permits application text, tables, figures, and tables to include but not limited to reduce the consolidated file size of the permit, update analytical standards and procedures, reference recently changed regulatory citations, update the narrative descriptions of the facility's operations, update figures to reflect current information related to floodplains, road networks, vehicular movement, fence alignment, and building layout and dimensions, updated environmental compliance data related to the monitoring. So we thank you for allowing us to be part of Sumter County's community, and we're happy to schedule site visits with anybody that would wish to come and visit the facility. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Next speaker is Mr. Tom Hart, representing Livingston.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tom Tart, T-A-R-T-T. I'm mayor of the city of Livingston and have held that position for 43 years. almost as long as waste management has been in our community and in our county. My city and my community fully support the re-permitting process that is going on. Waste management through the years has been a tremendous corporate citizen in this county. It is deemed a very safe facility, and we support them wholeheartedly. They hire as many local people as they can, of course pay a lot of local taxes as well. But we would not be blinded by the money if it was at any point in time deemed unsafe by you folks or the folks on the federal level, then it will be a different story. But waste management, chemical waste management has always been responsive to our questions, our problems, and we have complete confidence in the way the facility is being run in the past, being run today, and will be run in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Tarr. Next is Mr. Marcus Campbell, representing the Sumter County Commission.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here in Sumter County. And I just want to say, just from the tip off, I am in full support of waste management getting this permit renewed. Here in Sumter County, we roughly have around 12,000 citizens. And as Mayor Tart was just alluding about the aspects of waste management being safe, safety is our #1 priority here in Sumter County. We want our citizens to feel safe, be safe, and along with being safe, we want them to have the best quality of life that can be provided for them. Waste management has done that. I can remember days when I was in high school, what this facility has done for Sumter County. We're in an area where all is needed, and again, we want to provide our citizens with the best. We look at the North Sumter Daycare, we look at our local hospital, Hill Hospital, we look at our industrial board, just a few of the entities, whereas waste management with the waste tax, we're talking about over a total, probably over 30 plus entities that are supported by waste management through that waste tax. So if you look at that and you look at the responsibility, putting it hand in hand together, I am just enthused and thrilled about the fact of them being here in Sumter County. As Mr. Davis alluded to earlier, anytime you want a tour, you are more than welcome to go up to the site and take a tour. They have done everything to be in compliance. And that's, again, the #1 priority, safety, and being in compliance about everything that needs to be done. As being a community signature partner, they are doing so many things. This is not just a one and done, here and there things. They make sure that if any assistance is needed, they're there. We've had tornado damage, not just this past January, but we've had tornado damage in the past. They have stepped up in the town of Geiger, whereas they have helped supported a storm shelter. Anytime debris needs to be removed or anything that they can do to help and assist, they are there to doing that. And with a county with limited resources, you want to depend on your corporate sponsor, a friend, in the manner to do what needs to be done. We look at our youth. Youth don't have much to do here in Sumter County. They have been a signature sponsor for a nonprofit camp that we've been doing here over 20 years. They step up. They want to make sure that these kids are provided with any and everything that they need and given an opportunity to build on what they gain from those youth interactions to be the best that they can possibly do. One of our old high schools closed down, whereas they combined the two schools here in Sumter County. So there's a group that's getting together to remove a lot of the different things out. And those materials that have been in there for umpteen years, they need to be housed somewhere. Waste management has stepped up. They are stepping up in a big way. Our old annex, they are doing what they need to do to assist. So anytime you have a corporate sponsor, a friend, you want to make sure that friend is doing all that they can do for the citizens of Sumter County. So again, I want to loop and reiterate, I am in full support of the renewal of the permit. And I ask you strongly to consider it because waste management has been nothing but a major, major friend a friend that has shown love. You can talk about this and that, but anytime you need things done in your county, they have been there waiting to do what needs to be done and doing it in a giving and concerned manner. And please keep in mind, we are always concerned about safety, and they have been doing that. So again, thank you so much for being here. And again, I am fully in support of renewing the permit for waste management. Thank you all.
Campbell. We will now proceed to receive public comments in the order that the registration cards were completed, submitted to the representative at the table in the back. If you wish to testify and have not already registered to do so, please register at this time, right there. I would ask each person making a statement to step up to the microphone, clearly state your name, and any interest or organization that you represent. I'm requesting that everyone limit your comments to 5 minutes. If anyone has prepared a statement that cannot be presented in 5 minutes, please use your time for oral testimony to summarize your comments and submit your full statement to the department in writing for placement in the record. First speaker we have, ours is Mr. Ken Tucker, representing the University of West Alabama. Mr. Tucker.
Good evening. Good evening, Marcus.
Good evening.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure to be with you tonight. Appreciate you doing this. I am here representing the University of West Alabama and strongly encouraging you to renew the permit for chem waste. The good thing about following Marcus and the mayor is usually there's nothing left to say because they cover things so well. But that's not going to stop me from making a few comments. The other thing about following Marcus in particular is you're assured that I will spend less time up here at the podium than he did. So y'all keep an eye on those numbers. I do want to reiterate how strongly and positively we all feel about chem waste and their positive impact on our community. They are a major employer. You heard 150 jobs. 150 jobs may not mean a lot to Huntsville or Birmingham or Mobile, but it's huge for Sumter County and West Alabama. And we're talking about good paying jobs with good benefits, everything from entry level up to management and everything in between. But not only are they a major employer, they actively help recruit additional business and industry to the area. They are always willing to step up and work with all of the economic developers and workforce developers to help bring additional jobs to our area, which increases the quality of life and standard of living for everyone. The other thing I want to mention, and I mean this very sincerely, I don't think you'll find a better corporate citizen anywhere. It's just amazing what all they are involved in. From chairing our foundation board, to chairing the Chamber of Commerce board, to serving on business advisory councils, industrial development boards. If there's a need, they step in to fill that need. And they do it very professionally and very sincerely. We would not be where we are as a community without them. Now, I cannot speak to the technical aspects of a permit renewal, but here's what I can say. I know Mike Davis, and I know so many of the local employers and corporate employees and corporate employees as well, and I know them to be honest. I know them to have integrity. I know them to have character. And I know that they are professional and adhere to the utmost standards and follow all rules and regulations. And I have utmost confidence in that. Most of us in this room have been out to the site multiple times. I'm confident in the safety and the security and, again, adhering to all appropriate rules and regulations. So that's really concluding my comments. Marcus, I beat you by a minute. Thank you very much for being here.
Next speaker is Mr. James Bird Dial.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. James Burdell is my name. I'm the city administrator, city of Livingston. I've lived here all my life. Worked with the city of Livingston for over 40 years. I have my family here. I have kids here, grandkids here, and one great grandchild here. So I have a vested interest in this county and what it means to me. First of all, I'd like to start with the Kim Waste employees. I know a lot of those people. I go to church with them. I work with them. Quality people, technical people, smart people, trustworthy people. I have utmost confidence in everything they do at that site. On the corporate side, one of the best corporate friends you could have in anywhere. These people are involved in the local Chamber of Commerce, their boards, their support churches, schools. This past Saturday, they helped with the City of Livingston sponsor a household hazardous waste event that we allowed people from all over West Alabama to bring stuff like paints and solvents, tires, stuff that they get out of their garage that's been there in barns for years, and allow people to dispose of this stuff correctly and properly and safely. That don't happen anywhere else, but only in Sumter County. Go back to these employees, great people, trained, skilled, a pleasure to be around. And I support Kim Waste. I support the renewal of this permit. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Kyle. The next speaker is Mr. Pierce Boyd. Mr. Boyd, if you don't mind, words, asking the next speakers to move the microphone just a little closer.
Okay.
So after everything you say.
I'm Pierce Boyd, and I'm like Mr. Campbell. I think safety is the number one thing, and that's something some of us are going to talk about tonight. Is Stephen Cobb here? I'd like to thank Stephen for the first time in 35 years somebody in your organization took a minute to talk to some of us local folks. But we appreciate that and look forward to meeting on a regular basis. Let me give you some. All my stuff is factual. I can back it up. And for the sake of transparency, I don't receive any funds directly or indirectly from the waste dump in any shape, form, or fashion. A waste manager operates 254 solid waste landfills and 5 hazardous waste landfills. According to their 2022 report, they had an income of $19.7 billion. That's with a B. So it's not a million, that's a B. Okay, but I don't like, I'm not a big fan of having my back turned to people.
Yes, sir, but you're
Okay.
talking about it. We're here to.
Okay, at one time, the waste dump up there is receiving $1.5 million a day from PCBs only. That was 24/7. That's a pretty good chunk of money. That's just from the PCBs. At one time, their profits, the waste dump accounted for 20% of the income and 30% of their profits. James C. Fish Jr., if y'all don't know who he is, he's the CEO of Waste Management. He made $15 million income. That's not counting stock options and everything in 2022. That's, Mr. Campbell, that's 1.5 times, I think, y'all's budget, some kind of budget.
I think you were talking to them over there, Mr. Boyd.
I'm just trying to clarify something.
You were talking to them.
Okay. Also, that is 850 times the annual income of individuals in Sumter County. That shows.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're here to hear what you have.
I'm getting there. You bear with me. I just want to get some facts.
Yes, sir. That's
Okay.
When you're spacing away from the microphone, we may not capture everything. We want to
Okay.
capture everything you have to say.
Since they've been here, the population is down 50% and annual income is down 50%. That's factual. According to the taxes that they pay, the Sumter County Emergency Management gets 0. They have $1.9 billion in senior debt. That means that senior debt gets serviced before everything else. Their permit that they submitted is over 10,000 pages. It'll take the average person 3 to 4 weeks to read that. I'm not saying understand it, I'm saying just read it. I'm getting there. On Part B of the application, they mentioned that they were going to close trench. We're not going to open trench 23, and then they turned around and said they are. Don't know which one it is. They have an insurance policy which has expired according to the permit they submitted. The insurance company has an A rating, which is okay. Makes you feel a little bit better. That insurance has expired, and I'd like to make a recommendation to y'all. This insurance that y'all requiring them to have, when there's an incident, ADM and EPA has said the local landowner, or whoever is owned, it belongs to them. You should require them to name all the people in Sumter County as additional insured on that insurance policy. Period, end of sentence. Because I'm having to insure something and I don't have anything to do with it. Bear with me, I got a lot of notes here. They have an estimated closure cost of all their facilities of $2.9 billion. Of that $2.9 billion, they have set aside $9 billion for closure. They have said it's going to take $50 billion to close Sumter County. In other words, push it off in the hole and cover up dirt and go back to Houston, Texas. This is what it says. In Section M, yes.
Could you repeat the last sentence? And again, let me ask you, if you would, is face the microphone. Okay.
The last sentence is $93 billion for Sumter County, for all the facilities. The question is about that, where's that $93 million? Is that a corporate asset? Is that assets off someplace else that they can't reach to go toward that debt? Section M-2-1, sentences 31 through 35 is incorrect. Sections M-4-3, long-term emissions. No monitoring data is available to access the off-site exposure of these emissions. So in other words, there's no off-site testing. That's in the permit. That's in their extension. There's been no workplace monitoring since 1993. This is a quote. The potential for human exposure resulting from airborne hazardous contaminants generated by the placement of dusty waste is considered very remote, and that's from 1994. Might go tell the decedent, you're sorry their family died because this family must die because y'all are monitoring. I got a few more minutes. I have a few more minutes. Yes, sir. All right.
Your time has expired. I'll give you 1 more minute to do something.
It's going to take about 3 or 4 more minutes, but thank you.
1 more minute.
I'm going to get off on the emergency response plan. It says in their permit application they're responsible for public and environment. It's a complete void in here off-site. There's nothing for anybody off-site. Protective gear. It's evident a lot of protective gear on site, but what about those folks who live off site? When that environmental situation happens, what about those people? What are they going to do? How are they going to be transported? In Calhoun County, Alabama, they got kits for them. Evacuation plan, there's nothing in there for the local populace. And then what is the plan? And some people have said there's a plan for off-site. Nobody seems to know anything about it. I'm not going to sit here and go on. It's obvious that their plan, safety plan, has a big hole. The only thing I ask in conclusion, that the artifacts up there that are being destroyed be saved. And on the property we used to own, there was an old slave cemetery, and I appreciate it very much that those people are on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd. Next speaker, not here. The next speaker is Mr. Terry Rothwell.
Good evening, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. Kim Waste is a part of our community, and they have been here longer than I have. When I first came to town, I learned some of the history, and I understand that in that area around Kim Waste there are a lot of Indian sites, and I would like for those Native American organizations to be made aware of that. In the unlikely event that we have a major chemical spill or what have you, we've got burial sites there and probably habitation sites. I just think they ought to know. And they might have something to say about it. But a more important issue for me is first responders and training. It looks like we have, and maybe we don't, we have a hole in our planning. If something were to occur, that first 24 hours, those emergency responders are coming from volunteer fire departments or fire departments in small towns, I would assume. And I want to know if, I'd like to know that they're properly trained and equipped and staffed. I think that'd be a pretty tall order to deal with a hazardous spill with volunteer firemen. I don't know, maybe Kim Waste has got people that'll come out and take charge of the situation and handle it. I don't know that. Which leads me to my big point is communication. Seems to me that plain English communication between ADEM and the public and Kim Waste and the public would go a long way. And I would like to ask that they, and they probably do, but recycle everything they can. And then I've heard this, and this concerns me. If hazardous waste is found on our property, it's the landowner's responsibility. So if there's a spill and it bleeds over on our land, now we have to clean that up. I hope that's not the case, but I have that question. So in closing, I would say let's work on this communication. I've been talking to ADEM about when they do reports, some of your staff here, when they do reports, send us a little plain English explanation. We did an inspection and everything looked good. We did an inspection and we found this and they corrected it. And then the people in the surrounding communities might relax a little bit. You know, this is serious business. And there have been events in this country having to do with hazardous waste that were poorly handled and people's lives were changed and some lost. We don't want that here. I thank you, gentlemen, and all your staff, because you are our protection, and you keep everything going as it should. I trust that anyway. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oswell. Is there anyone who would wish to speak who has not filled out a card? Okay, seeing none, then we're finished. The department made arrangements for a copy of the proposed permit renewal to be available for review through People's Park Public Library for the remainder of the public comment period, will end at 5 o'clock p.m. April the 25th, 2023. All comments must be received by the Department of Environmental Management in Montgomery by that time. After consideration of all oral and written comments, the department will make a determination regarding issuance of the proposed permit renewal and prepare a document responding to all relevant comments received. If you have not marked your registration card today indicating you wish to receive the department's response to comments, you should notify the department in writing immediately and send to the attention of Mr. Russell Kelly, Chief of the Permits and Services Division. Comments may also be emailed to ADEM Hearing Officer, one word, that's ADEM Hearing Officer at adem.alabama.gov. In addition, the department will notify all persons who request in writing notice of the final permit decision. Thank you for your attendance and participation this evening. This hearing is adjourned.